friends and potential friends. Well, I'm just out here getting my morning dose of patience, encouraging the asparagus to grow. I really hadn't expected to be doing any more tours of my summer garden, but apparently the summer garden had other plans. And we've also got a few changes coming up that I'll tell you about in a minute. So let me take you off of that tripod and we'll do a quick walk around, and then I'll tell you about the plans I've got. Well, let's start off with the container garden. I still haven't taken that green stalk apart. The Edvarskis are still producing a few peppers. I'm thinking I might transplant those into one of the raised beds, let them become perennials if they want to. Ginger and turmeric are still doing strong. And as you can see, I brought those 2 pineapples outside, so we got 10 of them out here now. And there's my gardening buddy, Licorice. Yeah. He's back outside. Oh, you don't know about that. That's right. When I came out here yesterday to do my usual walk through the garden, Licorice was right under my feet the whole time. And then when I went to go back in the house, I held the door open and asked him if he wanted to come in. And surprise, surprise, he did. Walked in on his own. He was a bit nervous, but he went in the house with me and wound up spending the whole day in there and overnight last night. And this morning when I came out to feed the outside kitties, he decided he wanted to come back outside. So I'm not sure if he's going to be an inside cat or an outside cat. Really kind of prefer that he would stay inside because, well, I had a sad day a few days ago. I had to bury one of the kittens. The little female tortie got out in the road and got hit by a car. So she's no longer with us, and that kind of shook me up a bit. So I'm kind of working on hoping that I can get Licorice to decide to become an inside kitty. He loves the attention, but he kind of likes it out here too, so we shall see. Anyway, back to the containers. I've got a little mango growing here. I don't see any of the other 3 start sprouting. I do have a couple in the lab that are sprouting. There's my Praxis cherry. I trimmed it up a bit and brought it outside. Oh, the experimental bed, still looking good. I'm actually still getting a few datil peppers out of those. And over here in the red Marconis, I'm still getting a few of them too. They just don't want to quit. Over in the main beds, well, the lemon drops are still producing. They've slowed down. They're not ripening as fast as they were a few weeks ago, but there are still a bunch of peppers hanging in there. And the Pusajawalas, they just keep on producing. I've been picking a handful of them just about every day. In fact, if you see the thumbnail that I used for this video, that thumbnail is everything that I've harvested in the last, 5 days, or at least everything that I haven't eaten. Pusajawalas are doing good. They've really come on like gangbusters in the last couple of weeks. And not only that, I'm also starting to get a bunch of habaneros back here. Remember, I was late getting these planted, but they're trying to make up for it now. These are the orange and the lemon habaneros back here. Let's see, on the sweet side, I'm still getting banana peppers. They're a little bit smaller than they were earlier in the summer, but they're still growing. Jimmy Nardellos, I'm still getting a few of those. Everything's kind of suffering. We haven't had any rain now for about a week and a half. I've been getting out here and watering, but I can't seem to give them as much rain as Mother Nature does. And the corbachis, there's a few of those still hanging in there. Sweet potatoes, well, it's after 11 in the morning, they're starting to droop in the sunlight. Let's walk back and take a look at a couple things in the mini orchard. Well, before we hit the mini orchard, Got another Puza here that's putting on fruit. My jalapenos are continuing to produce peppers. They're looking a little worse for wear, but they're still giving me more peppers, so I'm just letting them keep on going. That Florida avocado is taller than I am now. Guava's almost as tall as I am. And that one pomegranate's doing pretty good too. Oh, and I gotta show you this papaya that I saved from under the debris pile. It's trying to give me some fruit. It's a cute little thing. And its big brother over here, there's a lot of papayas hanging on there. Problem is they keep falling off. I'm not sure what's going on, but I've sliced a couple of them open after they fell off, and I found ants inside them. I'm gonna have to spread some DE around here or something, try to keep the ants off of this tree. One of them I opened up, also found a couple of worms in it. Apparently those things that look kind of like yellow jacket must lay eggs on them, and then the eggs hatch and burrow into them. And I'm still hoping to get papaya off of those before long. We shall see. Back there in the shade, that's where Torty's at now. That was one of her favorite places, lay back there in the shade, so that's where I buried her. Oh, moringa's doing okay. Blueberries. The other pomegranate, it needs to move. It gets too much shade back here. The mulberry's still doing good. Licorice is still doing good, following me around. Oh, and the beauty berries are in full bloom. I mentioned in a couple videos back, I'm not going to do anything with those this year. But they're pretty, so, and they're not in the way, so I'll leave them there. Well, let's go take a look at what I really wanted to talk about. And this is it. My main raised beds. I've been using these for 5 or 6 years now, which I think is probably a pretty good stretch considering that they're made out of wood. I made a few mistakes when I put them together. First mistake I really should have known about. Anytime you put wood in contact with the soil around here, it's going to get eaten up by the subterranean termite. Doesn't seem to matter what kind of wood it is. Pressure treated lasts a bit longer than untreated, but eventually it all gets eaten away. I noticed last year that this first bed was really getting in bad shape, and I probably should have replaced it last year, but well, with the prices of lumber and everything, I decided to hold off a bit. And believe it or not, it's almost hard to tell, but that's 2 layers of 1x6s. The bottom one's pretty much just all eaten away. You can see the layering a little better on this other bed. That one was built a year later, I believe, and it's still holding up a little bit better. But all of these are kind of falling apart on me. Now, another of the mistakes that I made was trying to make them longer, putting boards together. I made them 16 feet long instead of 8 foot. And I also put them a little bit too close together, especially when my buddy Licorice decides he wants to get under my feet. Sometimes it's hard to avoid stepping on him. He does that on purpose though, that way he gets more attention. But as you can see, this thing is about shot, and so I need to do some replacing. I did some research and I found out it's still pretty expensive to build raised beds out of wood just to have them eaten away in 5 or 6 years. So I ordered 4 4-foot by 8-foot metal raised beds. And my goal for the near future is when these peppers finally decide to quit producing, and if you look at this branch here, you can see that may be a while. I'm planning on taking up all 3 of these raised beds. I'm going to take them apart. Any of the lumber that's still any good, I'll save, and I'll use it for expanding the garden a little bit. But I'm going to move all the soil. And I'm going to replace these with those 4 metal beds that I've ordered. I want wider aisles. The asparagus bed's going to stay where it's at, and I'm going to use it as a centering point. I'm going to come off at least 3 feet before I start the first 2 raised beds. So I'll have 2 raised beds here where the sweet potatoes are at, and then I'm going to come over another 3 or 4 feet, and I'll have 2 more raised beds right here. That'll get them a little bit farther out into the sunlight and out from under that umbrella tree or whatever the heck it is. Now, the beds that I ordered are 17 inches tall. So I'm thinking hugelkultur. Seems like I have a lot of wood laying around here. I'm going to slice up some slices of that tree trunk, about maybe 6 to 8 inches thick, and line the bottoms of the new raised beds with that wood. And then I'll put the soil over top of it and let it slowly break down. That'll still leave me about a foot or so to plant in, and I think it might work out. But I've got to wait on the peppers to quit, wait on digging up the sweet potatoes, which will be coming in probably about 3 weeks. I'm going to have to move the rosemary. I'll also have to move these 3 pineapples to get them lined up better. And so this whole section right here is going to look a lot different when I get done with it. And like I said, any of the lumber that's still usable out of the current raised beds, eventually when I get things cleared out more, I'll be building more raised beds back there where the pieces of that tree are laying. And I might come out a little bit farther over here too. It's going to be a lot of work, and it's going to take me some time. I'll try to document the process as I go along, maybe put a build video together or something like that. And when I get it finished, I think it's going to look quite a bit better out here. And ultimately, I should have more room to grow too. But anyway, that's the big changes taking place around here. As I keep saying, things keep on producing. Today's September 30th, and I really should be planting my winter seeds. But as far as that goes, I've decided I have to cut back this winter a bit since I won't have these raised beds to work with. And I'll be doing a lot more container gardening this year. Problem with containers in the winter is that the soil in a container gets cold a lot faster than the soil in the ground. So it's a little bit trickier to keep things alive in the winter when they're in containers. I'm kind of rambling now. I got to get back to paying attention to Licorice. He's sitting here waiting to pounce on my feet as I walk by. And so I'll see you the next time I see you.